Welcome to Mantis Falls. Today I'm demonstrating how a two-player game works on BoardGameArena. Before I begin, you should know communication is crucial to enjoying Mantis Falls. You'll need to coordinate strategies and plan plays with your partner, and you'll also need to try and deduce whether a player is lying. Players on BGA will be required to speak the same language and should communicate by voice or video chat throughout the play. Finally, we recommend that players select a real-time instead of a turn-based game. While we're on the subject of communication, I'll also point out that, unlike some other hidden role games, there is no limit on communication in Mantis Falls. Players are allowed to discuss in detail the cards they have, their plans, the hidden information that they see, and anything else that they like. But of course, the wisdom of being completely candid will be for each player to decide. In Mantis Falls, players are tasked with making a dangerous journey, ostensibly together, out of this mob-ruled town. In reality, the journey will be truly cooperative only sometimes, depending on the assignment of hidden roles at the start of the game. In a two-player game, there are 2 witness cards and 1 assassin card in the role deck. 2 of these role cards are dealt to the players, and 1 is removed from the game. So, the players could be both witnesses, or there could be 1 witness and 1 assassin. In this game, my companion Adrian is a witness. He saw something he shouldn't have seen and is now trying to survive the night and escape Mantis Falls. If I were also a witness, then the game would be fully cooperative, with our shared goal being to reach the end of the road together and alive. We would need to trust each other and coordinate our gameplay because we'd be facing harmful events and obstacles together. If either of us were to die, then we would both lose. So that's what it would be like if we were both witnesses. But I am not a witness. I'm an assassin, which means that I win the game by killing him before he can kill me. It also means that he wins by killing me before I can kill him. The key advantage of the assassin is that I know we're in a fight to the death right from the start. So now you may be wondering what gives a witness a fair chance when the assassin has the benefit of knowing the win conditions. Well, each player begins the game with a call and a hit card. This card allows a player within 1 road of a phone to do an enormous amount of damage to their companion, but this ability is reserved only for a witness. It therefore benefits me, as an assassin, to seem like a witness, at least until the call and a hit is no longer a threat. On the right of your screen, you'll see player information, including roles, characters, and wounds. In this case, I can see Adrian's role. In the physical game, I wouldn't be allowed to see his role card, but I would know that he's a witness because, as an assassin, I know that I drew the only assassin card in the game. Adrian, however, cannot see my role. By the way, if I click on a card on the screen, I can get a closer look at it in the info box. So we're playing the base game of Mantis Falls. Our characters are both urbanites, meaning that we can each take a maximum of 8 wounds. The Full Circle module offers more robust gameplay, including variable healing abilities and hidden health information. We do recommend enabling it as soon as you get a handle on the base game. The primary active player rotates each turn. This player will have the choice to move at the beginning of the turn, will have the initiative to make their main play first, and will know and sometimes control what happens with events that turn. The red statistic is the wound tracker. You can see that we both start with 0 wounds out of a maximum possible of 8. The black statistic is the number of last gasps each player has taken. This represents the amount of times a player has reached their wound maximum. The road consists of 12 randomized cards of 3 types that have been shuffled and placed face down. Players start at the beginning of the road and travel through the sunset, the night, and the dark in a serpentine pattern, revealing only the card directly ahead of the furthest player. Road cards will have features like phone booths, bus stops, and ambushes, which we will see later. They also have red, yellow, and green stoplight numbers, which will be referenced by event and action cards. Here you can see the cards that I have in my hand. In addition to the call and a hit, I also have 6 other action cards which I drew randomly in the opening deal to complete a hand limit of 7. You can see that BGA has organized these for me by suit, as represented by the symbol and name in the upper left. As you'll see when we get into gameplay, the core mechanism of the game is that I can play as many actions as I like each turn, as long as they're all of the same suit. Action cards, when played, execute everything as stated on the card. A red, sometimes, preceding the text of a card indicates that some criteria must be met for the effect to take place. For instance, you can only make a phone call on a road with a phone. Cards that say that I should take them as a condition, once played, are placed face up in my player area to either have an enduring effect or to allow me to reserve their effect for some time later in the game. Now, we'll walk through a turn and explain the rules along the way. Each turn follows the same 6-part sequence: initial movement, event draw, main play, action reveal and processing, event processing, and finally, draw. If you like, you can always find this explained in the Mantis Falls Rules Wiki found at the bottom of the BGA game you're playing. It's my turn, so as the turn player, I am first prompted to either move forward one road or to stay put. There's usually no harm in moving forward in these early roads, and it would make sense for me to do so here to keep up the pretense that I'm a witness desperate to leave the city. The next road ahead of me is automatically revealed, and I draw an event. This event is unseen, meaning that Adrian will never see the card face and must trust me to accurately describe what we're facing. I can do so in as much or as little detail as I'd like. I can also lie, with the understanding that the card's effect will still come to pass as written at the end of the turn. Here, I speak with him over a voice call and tell him that this is an opposition, that we can fight, whose health is 2, and that if we don't defeat it, I will take 2 wounds. I could bend the truth a bit here and tell Adrian that it's 2 wounds to him instead of me, with the hope that he would be more likely to help me defeat it. But at the end of the turn, we'll have to process the event accurately. If I were to lie and we failed to defeat it, my lie would be revealed when it turns out that I take the wounds instead of him. So I decided it's better to keep things honest, for this turn at least. Starting with the turn player, we can now both choose a main play, meaning that we can play as many cards of the same suit as we like, discard up to 2 cards, place 1 card in conserved energy, which is sort of like a communal draw pile, or do nothing. I'd love to beat this opposition, but I don't have many action cards that can damage an event. This is another point at which conversation is really important. At this moment, I've asked Adrian if he could defeat the event, but he can't. Frequently in Mantis Falls, the event will be unbeatable, but the key is to still always use your turns productively. So here, I'm going to use the turn to strengthen myself with allies and conditions. To play cards, I click on the card that I want to play first, and then I click on the outlined position in the action box to place it. Once I've played a card from my hand, anything else of the same suit will highlight to show that I can play it at the same time. Our cards are revealed and processed one at a time in alternating order, so Adrian's 1 card goes between my 2. Next, the cards that we played get revealed and processed one by one. Now the event comes to pass. Sometimes the effect of an event will offer me choices, but not this time, so I acknowledge that I can't alter the event, and because we haven't prevented the event, I take 2 wounds. To finish the turn, we both draw back up to our hand limit of 7 cards. Play continues this way with Adrian becoming the next primary player. That should give you the general idea of how a turn works, so now we're going to jump ahead to my big moment of betrayal. This is key because it demonstrates the important topics of last gasps and dying. It's quite a few turns later, and we've both advanced some ways down the road and accumulated quite a few wounds. During the last several turns, I've been carefully curating powerful adversarial cards, all in the same suit, Granite. My plan is to use these as part of an unexpected strike when the moment is right. Adrian doesn't know this, of course, and still seems to mostly be trusting me, especially since he's still near a phone. So it's my turn, and I draw a scene event which will do 2 wounds divided as I choose. We discuss our plans, and we decide to split the wounds instead of trying to prevent the event. So this is where I start to make my calculated decision. If we let the event go through, that means I'll have the option to make both wounds from it go to him, which is really tempting to me. But I know that if I do that, Adrian will probably begin to seriously doubt that I'm actually a witness. So I quickly decide that if I'm going to ruin the trust between us, I should do all that I can to make it count. I secretly line up this mean play that I've been preparing all game: Reconsider, Ball and Chain, and a Badger. My first card is revealed. It's a Reconsider, which forces us both to discard, shuffle, and redraw. The key here is that I've knocked the call and a hit out of his hand, as well as whatever healing cards or other combos he might have been preparing. This is a mean move by me. I could try to pretend that it was necessary for my survival or something, but Adrian knows the game and our dynamic too well. He knows I'm an assassin now, and so I'm not even going to try and deny it. It's a battle to the death for us at this point. My next card is the Ball and Chain. This is a perfect follow-up to the Reconsider. It lets me strengthen my new hand and deplete his. My next card, the Badger, is the final piece of my combo. This card gives him the choice to either move forward 2 roads, landing him on an ambush, or to take a wound. Adrian takes the movement from the Badger and suffers the ambush. I then complete my surprise attack by giving both wounds of the event to Adrian. It didn't kill him, but I ruined his carefully cultivated hand and significantly diminished his health, and Adrian takes his turn. Since there's an ambush in front of him, it's no surprise when Adrian chooses not to move forward. He draws an event that would hurt both of us, but would send him to his wound maximum. After the event draw, we've usually had a cooperative conversation about how to handle the event, but this time it's silence. Neither of us want the other to know what we're thinking or planning. He plays 2 cards. Since this is a critical moment for him to attack me, I'm finally going to use my mole and see what cards he put down. It's bad for me. Even worse, by calling a hit on me, he will be able to use the call in a medic condition he got to heal himself. With a sense of futility, I put a bullet down. As soon as the call in a hit is revealed and processed, I lose 2 cards and go to my wound maximum, and he heals 2 wounds using his call in a medic. Now, this is a really important point. Reaching maximum wounds does not mean that I am immediately dead. First, I get to make a last gasp. This is a sidebar action play that allows me to perform a whole new action play in any suit of my choice. This can be for a counterattack or really for anything else, but most importantly, it's a chance for me to heal. If I heal during a last gasp, then I survive and the game continues. But unfortunately, since I didn't get any healing cards that I could use with the Reconsider or with the Ball and Chain, I'm gonna die. I can still try and kill him during my last gasp so that I can pull out a tie, but because he's now at only 5 wounds, using my bullet to deal him 2 wounds won't be enough to get him to his maximum of 8. It's seemingly hopeless for me. Still, I'm petty, so I poach the bullet from my face-down action cards for my action play to shoot him anyway. I didn't heal, my last gasp ended with my health still at max, and so now I'm dead. If I could have gotten Adrian to his own wound maximum, then he would have to take his own last gasp to try and survive. But I didn't. He's still alive, and I'm dead, and the game is over. End of game is triggered either when a player is dead with all last gasps resolved, or when all players begin a new turn together at the end of the road. At that point, victory is determined. If there's an assassin, then that player only wins with the death of a witness. So if a witness is not dead, you've lost the game. A witness wins if all players are at the end of the road alive, or if an assassin is dead. The death of a witness and an assassin is a tie. Since I died and Adrian did not, he was victorious. Now, this is not an exhaustive rules video, but hopefully it helped you get started. As you're playing, we strongly recommend referencing the BGA Mantis Falls rules wiki at the bottom of the screen, as that explains the rules in further detail. You can also consult the complete online manual, as well as our action card compendium and strategy guide, both available on BGA, on our website, and in the description of this video. If you'd like a physical copy of Mantis Falls, you can buy it online at mantisfalls.com. Finally, we'd like to thank Dan Adams for developing this beautiful adaptation for us, and BoardGameArena for hosting us and facilitating virtual gamers everywhere.